Raid Day on Destiny is like video game Christmas to me. The excitement of launching into a new raid, competing for world's first is a feeling that's second to none. I love organizing a team and grinding light level with every expansion. There's really no other game that scratches this kind of itch for me, and that's probably why I've been playing Destiny non-stop for about 6 years now. So needless to say, I'm pretty excited to grind and play the new raid that's going to release with Beyond Light this November. And it's actually had me thinking about what I want for this raid to be, and how every raid released thus far compares to one another. And it made me realize there's some things I really don't like about Destiny 2's raids. Now this isn't going to be another one of those D1 better videos, but hear me out. There's kind of a trend I've been noticing in Destiny 2's raids that kind of bothered me. If you played both games, think about all of the best raids in the franchise and what they all have in common. Not really think about it, I'll wait. The answer is differing mechanics. The best Destiny raids have mechanics that are fundamentally different from each other and inherently makes each checkpoint have character and prevents the entire raid from feeling samey. Let's look at what I consider the best Destiny raid in the franchise, Wrath of the Machine. The first checkpoint is throwing balls at the boss to take your shield down, shooting at monitors to prevent wipes, hiding in safe rooms to prevent wiping after DPS phases. The next checkpoint is running from a freaking death Zamboni and inserting its parts into it, preventing it from blowing up. Then you fight Axis, the spider boy, by throwing balls at him and using the empowered buff to stagger him, and start DPS and burn him, and jumping on platforms to prevent wipes and using scorch cannons to take out the corresponding servitor. It's all just fun. King's Fall has you opening doors and slamming the balls into statues, the best jumping puzzles ever, totems, war priests, Goloroth, sisters, Oryx. Last Wish has every encounter feel very different as well, and this is important for a raid. You can't just turn off your brain and go through the motions. You have to be on your toes, dodging bullets and ogres, preventing wipes, and getting the mechanics down to a T. Now let's look at what I consider the worst raids in Destiny and what they have in common. Eater of Worlds, you cook craniums and you use it to destroy the matching color. Then you wipe the boss. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now here's the raid that inspired me to even make this video. Garden of Salvation. Now this may be an unpopular opinion, but I despise this raid. I'd rather grind Eater for the rest of my life than play through Garden of Salvation again. Alright, don't get me wrong, this raid looks incredible and it's very pretty, but its mechanics are a drag. Every checkpoint feels samey and I always get bored halfway through the raid. The first checkpoint is actually pretty fun. It starts off how a raid should start in my opinion. The opening door mechanic is actually pretty fun and the tether idea is interesting when it works. Keyword, when it works. This checkpoint passes the test, and then this is where it all goes downhill for me. Next you have to defend each of these relays while the runners refresh your buff so you can kill special ads. Every once in a while, angelics will spawn and you have to kill them. This checkpoint always feels weird because there's always huge chunks of nothing going on. If you don't have the angelics on your side, it's just like, what am I doing? As a runner, you're just running back and forth and refreshing buffs, and the defenders are just sitting there waiting for it. You do that until the checkpoint ends, and then you're at the consecrated mine. First, you're split up into two teams of 3, Eyes team and Gambit team. Eyes team is the same exact thing for 5 minutes, and it drags on and on. One person has to step in the pool and tell the other 2 people which layer of eyes to shoot. Gambit team is collecting motes and killing ads. Now remember that because it's important. After Gambit team fills up the bank with 30 motes, it's DPS time. You have to do as much damage to the boss as possible before he gets to the middle. If you don't one-phase him, you have to start all over again and collect motes and kill ads. Fun. After you kill him, it's time for the final boss, the Sanctified Mine. Okay, get ready for this because the mechanics are actually pretty complex here. You're split up into 3 teams of 2, Gambit 1, Gambit 2, and Builders. So Gambit teams have to go into the portals and kill ads and collect motes so that they can kill special ads. Yeah. Builders have the more barely interesting job, and they're bringing back platforms that the boss wipes out so that we're not stepping on Vex milk constantly. Once both relays have 30 motes from the Gambit teams, it's time for DPS and oh wait, it's already over. Alright, let's do it again. Let's kill more ads. Let's collect more motes. And then we kill the boss and that's it, raid over. The raid makes me feel like a machine, and not the well-oiled kind. The type of machine that goes through the same process every single hour of the day, with no sort of variation. Another problem with this raid is that the weapon meta is not diverse in any way. And this is a problem with a lot of Destiny 2 raids, not counting Callus, is that you can't really stray too far from the meta. For Sanctified Mine and Consecrated Mines, you have to use Divinity and Xeno, or 1K Voices if you're feeling bold. You have to run Darcy or Whisper on the Insurrection Prime and Argos for the best DPS output. And sure, these are the meta weapons and they'll always put out the most DPS, but the point is you can't stray from those weapons. You can't use a shotgun or sword on these bosses because they're too far for it, or too high in the air. Let's look at Axis for example. He had a very diverse selections of weapons that you can use. There was a sword strat, a rocket strat, some people even used the raid weapons themselves on them and it was a viable option. For Atheon you could use rockets or icebreaker, black hammer, pretty much whatever you wanted and it would get the job done, as long as you got the mechanics down. This promotes the idea that you don't have to use the same exact loadout for every single time you do the raid and prevents it from feeling samey like Garden. And this is what I hope for the most from the new raid, the ability to diversify your loadout and mechanics that are different throughout the raid. No more moats, no more standing on plates, no more throwing balls. It's time for something a little more interesting.